The night everything changed, started just like any other. I remember lying in bed, the soft hum of the fan above me, my family's quiet voices drifting from the next room. But suddenly I woke up, my heart pounding in my chest, and I couldn't move a muscle. My eyes darted around the dark room, searching for something, anything, that could explain the heavy, suffocating feeling pressing down on me. That's when I saw it. At the foot of my bed, a shadow darker than the night itself began to take shape. Two glowing red eyes stared straight into mine, unblinking, cold, and full of something I can only describe as pure evil. I tried to scream, to call out for my family, but my voice was trapped inside me. In the distance, I could hear my mother's terrified cries, my father shouting my name. But I was frozen, helpless, forced to watch as the thing in the darkness crept closer. This is the true story of the night my family faced a real sleep demon, a night that still haunts us to this day. If you think nightmares aren't real, let me tell you what happened to us, and you might never sleep the same way again. It was a regular Wednesday night, the kind of night when nothing feels out of place. My family had just finished dinner, and laughter still echoed in the hallway as we all got ready for bed. My younger sister was brushing her teeth, humming a tune, while my parents double-checked the locks on the doors and windows. I remember feeling a strange sense of comfort, like everything was exactly as it should be. The house was warm, the lights were dim, and the world outside seemed far away. As I settled into bed, I scrolled through my phone, replying to a few messages and setting my alarm for the next morning. My dog, Max, curled up at my feet, let out a contented sigh. But as I turned off the lamp and let the darkness settle in, I noticed something odd. The air felt heavier, almost as if the room itself was holding its breath. I brushed it off as my imagination, blaming it on a long day. Little did I know, this was the last moment of peace we'd have for a long time. The storm was coming, and none of us were ready for what was about to happen. The first sign that something was wrong came quietly, almost too subtle to notice. Around midnight, I woke up to the sound of Max growling softly at the corner of the room. His ears were perked up, his body tense, eyes fixed on a spot I couldn't see. I whispered his name, but he didn't move. That's when I heard it, a faint whisper, like someone calling my name from the hallway. I sat up, straining to listen, but the house was silent except for the ticking of the clock. I tried to convince myself it was just the wind, but a chill ran down my spine. My sister's room was across the hall, and I could see a sliver of light under her door. Suddenly, her door creaked open, and she peeked out, her face pale. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. I nodded, not trusting my voice. We both stood there, frozen, listening to the silence. Then, a shadow flickered across the wall, gone as quickly as it appeared. My parents' door opened, and my dad stepped out, looking confused and a little scared. "Is everyone okay?" he asked. None of us had an answer. We just knew something wasn't right. As the night wore on, the temperature in the house seemed to drop, despite the heater being on. I pulled my blanket tighter around me, but it didn't help. My breath came out in visible puffs, and the windows began to fog up from the inside. Max refused to leave my side, his growls growing louder every time a floorboard creaked or a shadow shifted. My sister crawled into bed with me, her hands ice-cold. "I can't sleep," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I keep seeing something moving in the corner." I tried to comfort her, but I was just as scared. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt like something was watching us, waiting for the right moment to strike. My parents checked on us every hour, their faces growing more worried with each passing minute. My mum lit a candle and placed it by the window, muttering a prayer under her breath. The flame flickered wildly, casting strange shapes on the walls. The house, once our haven, now felt like a trap. We all huddled together, hoping the night would pass quickly, but deep down, we knew the worst was yet to come. It happened just after 3 a.m. I woke up suddenly, my body paralyzed, unable to move or even scream. My eyes darted around the room, searching for my family, but all I could see was darkness. Then, from the foot of the bed, a shape began to form, a shadow darker than the night itself, with glowing red eyes that seemed to burn right through me. The air grew thick, making it hard to breathe. I could hear my sister whimpering beside me, but I couldn't turn my head to look at her. The demon moved closer, its form shifting and twisting, almost as if it were made of smoke. It leaned over me, its face inches from mine, and I felt a cold, clammy hand press down on my chest. My heart raced, panic rising as I struggled to break free. In the hallway, I heard my parents shouting, their voices muffled and distant. The demon whispered something in a language I couldn't understand, its breath icy against my skin. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. In that moment, I knew we were facing something far beyond our understanding, something truly evil. The house erupted into chaos. My dad burst into the room, his face pale with fear, and tried to pull my sister and me out of bed. My mum was in the hallway, clutching a cross and reciting prayers as loudly as she could. The demon seemed to grow stronger with every second, its shadow stretching across the walls, swallowing the light from the candle. Max barked furiously, but even he seemed powerless against the thing in our room. My sister screamed, her voice echoing through the house, while I struggled to move, my body still frozen by the demon's grip. My dad shouted for us to run, but the door slammed shut on its own, trapping us inside. The temperature dropped even further, and the air was filled with the stench of sulfur and decay. My mum's prayers grew more desperate, her voice shaking. The demon turned its gaze on her, and for a moment I thought it would attack. But then it let out a guttural growl, shaking the entire room. We were all terrified, powerless against the evil that had invaded our home. All we could do was pray that it would end soon. The demon's presence became overwhelming, pressing down on us like a physical weight. My dad grabbed the Bible from the nightstand and began reading aloud, his voice trembling but determined. The demon recoiled, its form flickering as if it was struggling to hold itself together. My mum joined in, her prayers growing louder, and my sister clung to me, sobbing. The room shook violently, pictures falling from the walls, the candles' flame sputtering out. The demon let out a scream so loud and inhuman that it felt like it would shatter the windows. For a moment, I thought we were all going to die. But then, something changed. The more we prayed, the weaker the demon seemed to become. Its red eyes dimmed, and its shadow began to shrink. With one final, ear-splitting shriek, the demon lunged at us, but my dad held up the cross, and it stopped in its tracks. The air crackled with energy, and then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the demon vanished, leaving behind only silence and the lingering scent of sulfur. We collapsed in a heap, exhausted and shaken, but alive. The house was eerily quiet after the demon disappeared. We sat together on the floor, holding each other, too afraid to move or even speak. My mum was the first to break the silence, her voice barely above a whisper. "Is everyone okay?" she asked, her eyes searching our faces for any sign of injury. My sister nodded, still crying softly, while my dad checked the doors and windows, making sure everything was locked. Max finally relaxed, curling up at our feet, but he kept glancing nervously at the corners of the room. We spent the rest of the night huddled together, too scared to go back to sleep. When the sun finally rose, it felt like a weight had been lifted, but the fear lingered. We found strange marks on the walls and scratches on the floor that hadn't been there before. My mum insisted on blessing the house, walking from room to room with holy water and prayers. None of us wanted to talk about what had happened, but we all knew we'd never forget it. The house felt different now, less like a home, more like a place where something evil had left its mark. In the days and weeks that followed, we tried to return to normal, but things were never quite the same. My sister had nightmares every night, waking up screaming about the red-eyed demon. My parents became more protective, never letting us sleep with the doors closed. Max refused to go into certain rooms, always growling at empty corners. We talked about moving, but my parents decided to stay, determined not to let fear control our lives. My mum brought in a priest to bless the house again, and we started a new routine of nightly prayers. Slowly, the fear began to fade, but the memory of that night never left us. I still wonder what we faced. Was it a demon, a spirit, or just a terrible nightmare? All I know is that it felt real, and it changed us forever. Now, whenever I hear a strange noise in the night, or feel a chill in the air, I remember that night and remind myself to never take safety for granted. If you think nightmares aren't real, think again. Sometimes the things that haunt us in our sleep are more real than we could ever imagine. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this story. Even now, my family and I sometimes talk about that night, wondering what really happened and why it chose us. We may never have all the answers, but one thing is certain: that experience changed us forever. It taught us to respect the unknown and to never take the safety of our home for granted. Even the most ordinary nights can turn into something unforgettable. If you've ever faced something you couldn't explain, or if you have your own scary story, please share it in the comments below. I read every single one, and your stories help remind us that we're not alone in these experiences. If you found this story chilling or thought-provoking, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more true scary stories just like this one. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the things that haunt us in our dreams are closer to reality than we think. Stay safe, sleep well, and I'll see you in the next story. Good night.